Hi, this is Dr. Sue Ramlo, creator of Susie Q on YouTube, and I have had some questions lately, and it seemed like it was time to update the EQ configurator and now the EQ web sort setup and online sorting. So here I've started at one of my favorite pages. It's bookmarked, and this is Sean Banaszak's page where he has all of his software easy to access. CADE, CanQ, which resides on your browser, CADE, which resides on your desktop, the EQ web sort, which formerly was EasyHTMLQ, and the web configurator, which is what I would call basically a GUI interface that helps you set up your online web sorting. It's always very important to make sure that you are running the most recent update to the software. So here I'm going to start off by showing you, right, I've just clicked on the EQ web configurator here on the Banaszak homepage. And now I can scroll down, right? So this is, right, well, I don't know what version it is, but I'm going to use it with version 7.00 EQ web sort. So again, it's very important to make sure that you always run the most recent update, because Sean is great at making sure that we have everything, right, updated so that we run into fewer and fewer roadblocks to our online Q studies. Also notice that he has a citation for the web configurator. Please cite him when you are writing up your article or your dissertation or thesis. So you notice that he is very nice in that he has included many screenshots for installing the software, regardless of what type you are going to, what kind of operating system you have, right? I have Windows, so I'm going to come over here and do the Windows installer. I've already downloaded it once, but I'll download it again. Right, so it's still downloading, but I'll open up the one that I just downloaded before starting this video. Ignore how many tabs I have open. I always have a lot of tabs open on my browser. All right, so here, right, it says it doesn't recognize this app, right? And it could put my PC at risk, except that it's not. So notice that I clicked on more info, and now I'm going to click on run anyway. And it's going to install the latest version of EQ web configurator. And here we are, it's version 7.0.0. I believe that before I started this, I still had 3.0.0 or maybe, but it was an earlier version, right? Again, right? Citation, this one happens to be a little older, but you should always cite him. So I'm going to start off with the novice mode, right? Even though I've done this many times, I still run it in the novice mode just because it just helps me, right, not miss anything, especially if there's been changes to the last time I did an online Q study, right? We come over here, we click on setup, so we just use the menu that's on the left-hand side. He gives you some information, right? There's multiple ways to both host your page for the offering the Q sort, and then different ways of storing the sorts that are made, right? So here we're going to just walk us through doing the EQ web sort download. So that's the first thing we're going to do. we don't have to click on anything here because I already have my Banasic page open, right? And so I'm going to download my EQ WebSort software. It's downloaded as a folder, just like EQ Configurator. Don't panic when you see all of these different individual files. Just keep scrolling down, right? And we have some things like this is new, the NetFly's GDPR compliance statement. This would be useful for people in Europe who have to show that their online data collection is compliant with GDPR standards. He also includes, right, downloading the configurator, right, has some demonstrations, a demonstration video of actually doing the web sort. All right. So I'm going to download this version that includes the NetFly web hosting because that's what I've done before, right? Opposed to the Google version with Firebase or Google Sheets. So no Google. So I am going to start off downloading this in my downloads, and then I'm going to have to unzip it. So I just like to go here. There it is, right? I can come over here and just click on extract all. I have a tendency to just keep things in my download folder. So here it is, my EQ Web Sort 7.000, no Google Forms. I've never used the Google form. And so I'm going to copy this, right? And somewhere in here, I have my current study, instructor emotions about higher ed, and I'm going to place my EQ WebSort package in the folder of my study. This just keeps it easier for me to find it, right? And then sometimes I also, right, label it. So this is instructor emotions, so I'll just call it emotions. It doesn't matter if you slightly change the file name. So here I am. Oops, not there. Right, so I've downloaded my WebSort package. Again, it's a folder, right? It shows you that if you open the folder, you see these things. So we'll come over here, right? And, right, there are a bunch of different files. Most of these you're not going to touch. What you're going to change are some of the files in the settings folder, right? So these right here that are XML files, but you don't have to do it the old-fashioned way like we used to with EasyHTMLQ. Instead, we can do everything we need via our little interface, our EQ web configurator, right? So next, I want to navigate to the EQ WebSort folder. So I'm going to click on that, right? Right now, it's in a previous study, so I'm going to go up and find my instructor emotions file. I've done a lot of studies. So there's instructor emotions. I just click on this. I select the folder. Wait a few seconds for it to set up, right? And now, right, it just walks us through here a little bit more again with many screenshots. So lovely, right? And now I could copy my local host to my clipboard if I do this now and try to run it, right, it's not going to be any different, right, than the default setup. So we're going to change this. So we're not going to worry about our local host quite yet, but we have it copied and we know where to find it when we need to. So next up, we're going to go to the config, right? We can customize some things like logos. I never do this option because I don't care. I guess I'm not into aesthetics. I'm a physicist. So right now we're going to go into the load config file. Right? So go into settings, right? There's my config file. And so now I need to figure out how I'm going to handle my participant data. So here it looks like, oh, I'm going to possibly change. Oh, nope. I have used the Firebase option in the past. I like Firebase. It's what I'm familiar with. So here, right, I can come in and it tells me some general things that I can do, right? To set up sheets, go to 6 database. To do Firebase, right, we're going to go down, right, step-by-step instructions for how to do that are in section 6 right here. And then we could also run it locally. These are some of, oh, look, we can do a second Q sort. Oh, that's very exciting. You have no idea. That is so exciting. So I can come in here, right, and say true or say false, right? If I said true, it would just go to another page. So the second sort would be stored separately. But I'm not going to do that, right? My data is going to be here. I'm going to call this faculty emotions. Ooh, look, now we can sort images or pictures. Wow, that's very exciting, Sean. I have text, randomized presentation order. I do that, and because I based my statements this time on another Q study, and he had everything broken up into themes, right? So they were still numbered in that order. So I don't want them to be presented in order because I don't want my participants to get any hint about themes in my Q sample. So I'm going to randomize, right? I could change the color of my bar, right? So I can also do options as far as anonymous, so there's no sign in, right? Participant only, participant name and access code. I usually do my IRB so that it's anonymous because it makes it easier for me. So I do want a consent page to my project. Information modal. I don't know what that means, but it's set to true, so I'll just leave it. Right, and then my pre-sort options, right? So I can change some colors. I'm going to leave everything as the default. I can leave the pre-sort values in the output file. So this just keeps it like if they said it was positive, but it ended up in the neutral area, I could see that. Like if the participant had more positive items in their positive pile than maybe neutral or negative. Sliding down, I can change my font size. So Sean has updated a lot of things. I am going to allow unforced sorts. I have found that this enables people who get really frustrated because they want to put 4 items underneath, right, the +4, but I only have 2 slots, right? And they keep trying to put them there and then they can't submit it. So I just default, right, to the unforced sorts. I don't know what this is, but it's a default. Sort direction. And then I absolutely want the individual card comments screen to be used. So in this case, if I have 4 items under +4, it shows each one of those comments and then asks the sorter to reply why they thought these were so important to them. Display cards from the second most positive column, so I could do +4 and +3. I haven't done that before. So I could make them comment on a number of levels. I'm just going to keep it for the first level. And then we have some survey options, right? So that I can input some survey items that are different than just commenting on the most salient items. And here he gives us a little hint about how to set this up, different types of questions that you can add, right? So I'm definitely going to include some survey items. I have some questions that I need to ask my participants, right? So this is the example, right? So I want to add an item. Ooh, I don't know what that is. I don't know what this is, but I am going to save it. I think that it is just some additional information for unloading some of the survey. So if you have, for instance, true or false or multiple choice questions that they can respond to, you need to be able to decipher what the code means in the column when later on when you download the JSON file, and then when you're in, say, CADE, you can download the JSON file data in a format that is actually, right, an Excel file. That makes handling the survey results a little easier. So I'm going to pause my work right now because I don't think I did what I normally do. So here's my statements, right? And I have not added, this is my standard Excel spreadsheet that I use for doing various things for my Q study. You can download it. It's either on academia, I think it's on academia.edu and not researchgate.net. So I haven't added my questions, so I'm going to pause here, and then I'm going to come back with my questions in my Excel spreadsheet so that they're easy to access.